nothing. Yeah, just honestly, I'm not doing any very interesting things. I'm just like doing basic cooking for home and basic cleaning, and that's it. Sitting, watching film, watching series, and that's it. No big plans, to be honest.
Is it tough for a cinematographer to stay isolated? Like most of your job is like outside.
I think it has nothing to do with like the kind of professional you are, but it's like the kind of human being you are. So I am perfectly fine. We generally always scrape about we don't get breaks. So the schedule is so hectic and everything. So now we have got that break. So I think it's time to like just sit at home, do nothing, just think about things which you have been wanting to think, and I think this shall pass soon and we'll be back to our normal lives. See, honestly, before we read the script, there are many times like, we meet the director and they just give us like, a synopsis or a gist of ye kahani hai and this is what we are trying to do and this is the zone he or she is looking to do this project. That's the first ever idea gets planted in our head. So that is one thing, and with me, I think it's not like how a cinematographer does. It's a very personal thing. Every human being, every cinematographer have their own way to conceptualize thing and how you achieve what you think and everything like that. So for me, like whenever the first time I hear the idea, I don't know, from somewhere there's some certain images which are there in my head. Now those images can be from something which I've already seen. Those images can be from a film, from a place I've visited, from a far memory of my subconsciousness. It could be from anywhere. So that's the first, it just randomly comes, certain faces will come, certain images will be there. Then yes, we get the script, we start reading the script, and slowly, some of the images become stronger in your head, and some of the images does fade out. So I think it goes through a level of evolution for it to come to the final screen. I would say it's the same. Like for me, it goes through the same evolution as from a monkey to a human being. You have some really scratch which tells something about it, and then you read, oh no, it needs more refinement, oh no, this doesn't belong this. So it keeps going on and on and on and on and on, and then there does come a time when there's a time restriction. You need to decide, okay boss, this is we need to create, and then you sit with director, they also have their vision. You sit with production designer, another very 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 key department in filmmaking. So the color palette has been decided, and then okay, this is the kind of imagery we'll be going with. Like suppose I know Sonchirya, the first meeting with Abhishek Chaubey, I remember the first meeting in within 5 minutes we knew that this is this thing we are shooting anamorphic, and this has to be Indian Western, because I remember Indian Western, we have seen Sholay and they've been Bandit Queen. So but there was a vast gap. There's nothing similar had come in that job. So we knew these two things for sure, and definitely when you say anamorphic, when you say Western, there is certain kind of imagery attached to it which comes in your mind, and you want to create those imagery. So then it hence go for further filtration of, because Western is also a vast. I never knew that I wanted to be a cinematographer, to be very honest. I had no clue what I'll be doing. One thing I knew, that I cannot go in a field which requires a lot of studies. Which probably I was not game to get into myself, and then and plus the monotony of a job is something which I didn't want to go for. So these were two things which I knew that I don't want to do. So then I actually studied mass communication from Delhi. There we studied journalism. I was really inclined towards journalism. There I decided that I want to become a development journalist actually. So I started pursuing my career in that. I started working with CNN, IBN as an internship as a junior journalist. From there they said this, now you have to work for some time in camera department as well. So I joined their camera department, worked as an intern and camera assistant there for around 3 months. They said there's a job opening there, so I worked there for like 4 months, and I really started liking what I was doing. Though that was very very basic, it was mainly like going with people, trying to learn what is it all about and everything. Then after I completed my graduation, I started working with NDTV as a cameraman. So worked there for an year, and that's when I really realized that what I'm doing is something like it really fulfills me, like it completes me, and I have no regret. Like I could work 20 hours a day, and like I would still feel fresh, and I still feel happy, and I still was looking forward to go next day to office. So that's when someone introduced me the whole concept of film schools. So I started inquire. I met a couple of friends. They told me about FTI. I gave FTI exams. Luckily got through, went there, and then that was like the huge door of cinema. What was opened in front of me, and I was introduced to so-called filmmaking. And yes, I was studying cinematography there. Actually, idea was to study from FTI, go back and join NDTV again. Because they were coming up with their NDTV Imagine, which was their fiction channel.
Okay.
And yeah, so I came here. Then from somewhere or the other, I got a project, did that project, then started assisting somewhere else, and then I think the insect kind of bit me, and I stayed back and yeah, did whatever I did. It was very important. I think FTI has to do a very very big part of what I am, how I understand films, how I value films.
Okay.
How seriously I take my profession as an artist. I would say more than the contribution of making me a technician, FTI has given me more of becoming an artist than a technician. There are many technical things which I learned when I came to Bombay, when I started assisting people, working on bigger projects, and people have been mastered the technique. But yes, the confidence that you are an artist, not just a mere technician, that was given by my film school. So that's a gift I really appreciate. So yeah, so I personally feel that if you have the luxury of time, money, and you don't have any that you have to start working immediately, then I would highly recommend everyone to go study, because it does help a lot, because you also mature yourself a little bit more, you train your eye a little bit more, and it's always important to study what you are gonna choose your profession as. So yeah, I would highly recommend that.
Okay.
No, not at all. I think the pre-production, it's totally different from every project, and I think it's as different as it can get. It's like treating every child differently, how they grow. So even with the same director, so Maxima, I've worked with Hansal Mehta. I've done like 3 films with him. Omerta, we've done Shahid, we've done Sumran. Though even with the same director, all 3 films had a totally different pre-production. And be it the color palettes, be it the discussion. Some films I remember, some films require more technical discussions. If there's a film which is more, suppose when we're doing commercials, there is a commercial which is more VFX heavy. So you need to have more meetings regarding what's the VFX gonna be, the VFX supervisor, the VFX producer is on board, and the discussions are more on terms of technical stuff. Whereas if you're working on a feature which is like I'm saying Sonchirya or Omerta or Shahid per se, so I think for me it's more important to sit with the director and get to know his vision, and from there kind of trying to extract your imagery out of it, so that his vision combined with yours, with the full support to the narrative, how we can deliver it. That's the most important thing. But yeah, director, DP, production designer, still the topmost thing which is catered while we are in production, it's the narrative of the script. So whatever the script demands, we go with that. Some scripts, every script demands a different kind of pre-production. Some like Sonchirya was really heavy on locations because we were only dependent on locations. Mad to find locations there. Like there was pre-productions, but like our major pre-prod happened when we went on scouts. We did at least, I remember, around 50 days of just looking for places, because once you are inside those ravines, then no one knows. Like, it's not that you have gone to a town, okay, this building, ये shooting के लिए available है, ये shooting के लिए available नहीं है. Where it was like this humongous amount of land which is there, and now we need to find, like, there so many times it has happened that we have gotten there, we've chosen the place, and then we couldn't find the place again because we had marked it, but the marks got moved and everything. So like there were times when we were like literally walking around 15 to 16 kilometers every day into the ravine that heat to just find the correct locations, and then fabricating the locations even further to look perfectly correct for our script, for our film. But every film for me requires totally different kind of pre-production, and I think as a DP, there are something which are very logistically based, but apart from logistics, like you are deciding on what cameras you are using, we are deciding what lenses we are going with, we are deciding on the color palette, the production designer, me and the director both, all three of us sit on the book of the film, how the scene's gonna look, and how the characters graph's gonna go, and how, like, if we have decided, okay, till here they'll be handheld, and then we introduce the handheld job in a film because the aesthetic reason. So that aesthetic breakdown needs to be done, and according to that, then we go on flow so that we know, okay, this is what we are doing with our film. So yeah.
Especially when I was reading about your location scouting or recce of Sonchirya, I heard that many of your assistants, somebody got an injury, and there was a lot of heat, and especially you had like very tough job scouting that location.
Yeah, I mean, like, injuries were having right, left, and center, to be very honest, and there were times when we actually had to cave the path around 2 to 3 kilometers from the ravines to reach the location, because we had gone there walking some 6 kilometers, 7 kilometers, but on the day of shooting we cannot afford to do that.
Exactly.
Because we have 8 hours of shooting in day, and especially in night you cannot do that. So we had to take the cars as close as possible, which was also still 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers away. So they were like the JCBs and trolleys lined up making, like, path for that. So that was mad, and hats off to the production team of Sonchirya which made that possible, because without them I don't think so this was even
really.
Yeah. And in the night there were like foxes all around. I remember my focus puller had gone to take a leak in the night, and one fox came, and suddenly in no time he realized that there were some 10 foxes surrounded him, and he came back, and I'm telling my first AC Rajan ki, why are we not doing the shot? I said, well, no, just give like 2 minutes, Prasad is just come. And I met him, and he was like literally shivering, and I told him what happened, and he couldn't say anything. So there were, one of the light boy got bit by a scorpion, there were snakes all around, so they were, I mean, the situation was tricky, no doubt about that, but what happens is when we work and that there's something very beautiful we are trying to create, so those energies somehow come together and which results to something which we want to create. So see, there was this one whole era. There was this whole 5D at that point of time, where producers, directors, everyone was abusing 5D as like, okay. And no doubt that was a big actually, I guess in film industry, the video shooting on 5D has been a big revolution, because there's so many filmmakers who could never ever imagine that they could do a film in this much budget. They have made films, and they have some of the films which are like just ship of thesis, and like, so many films which are so beautiful. Stabika Dabba, which was shot on 70. So like when I got a call for this film, so I was told, like, we don't have budget. The budget of the film actually was around 30 lakhs. 35 lakhs for the whole film. Hence, we could only afford 5D. So we went with our first schedule with a 5D, which is we shot in Himachal, where the training camp is there. So we shot for like 6 to 7 days. And when we came back, I somehow realized that I told my director and producer, see, I know we have a budget constraint and all, but the way we are imagining the film to be, the way we want the film to look, the way we want our characters to set loose and not restrict them, okay, because that time 5 will not come up with all the proper focus shifting kit and everything. It was still we were shooting with Canon lenses and series lenses. So
Yeah.
I told that it's not possible for me to restrict the actors every time. So that was then we took a decision. Okay, we'll shoot it with a proper camera, and that's when we got onto Red MX at that point of time and started shooting. And yeah, there was a time when we didn't know that whether we'll be able to grade it or not. So what we started doing, we started shooting with tube lights itself, because tube lights does give you a little bluish greenish tinge, which I really wanted for the scenes where the courtroom is there, or house sequences. So that solved both the purposes. We didn't have budget for cine lights, and plus it was giving a nice tone to me. So yeah, so that's what which I figured out at that point of time, and we went ahead with it. I think which turned out to be a good decision, and I'm still using it, to be very honest. I love using tube lights. But I see there's a way to look at it. There could be a way to look at it where you will really get irritated, but then there's a way that it's his first time, and even a director who's a first time director, whatever directors I have worked with who were directing their films for the first time, they were pretty clear in their head what they wanted. They might not know the technical language, which is, I think, is perfectly fine. And they might ask you to do something which is not going to work. But I think that's your job, and that's what a cinematographer is like. He has to or she has to be a pillar to the director, rather than be getting irritated by what they are saying. It becomes more important for you to step up and tell him or her this is not it's done. Let's try this. If it doesn't work, then we'll try yours also. So I think that calls for be a little more aware, little more meticulous about what you say, how you say, because there's no point disturbing a director by saying anything, because it's never going to work out in your favor, to be very honest. So it's always best to work for the film, because that's what he or she is doing, and that's what you are. So I think the best way to tackle the situation and get rid of all the obnoxious things are to make sure that they understand. So what you are fixing, the next DP will never fix.
Yeah. Especially in Shahid, I heard that all the scenes were improvised, most of them. It was not like how the dialogues were written in the script. Most actors improvised it. So was that a difficulty for you to shoot them when actors improvised?
Not at all, because I feel a film like Shahid sometimes, because the soul of the film was the same. The characters were the same. It's just there were times when we were shooting in Shahid's house, and we didn't have the location for next scene where we are shooting, which was another 2 hours. So the whole process was very spontaneous, was very instinctive. So it was a time where you were left with total spontaneity, act on the spot. Okay, this is the location. We are not there. So many times we had gotten to the location and we were rejected. We were told you can't shoot here. So we immediately kind of just requested some people go into someone else's houses and shoot. So the whole process of that film was built around that. So I don't think so. It is challenging, but I think that's what we cinematographers sometimes strive on, challenges, and that's what we ask for. That's why we are here. Every day, every hour is a different challenge, and it's I don't know. I feel high by solving these situations, and it gives me great pleasure. Yeah. So I think it depends on many things. Again, I would, probably all the questions my answer is gonna redirect to the one thing which is most important, which is the narrative in the script, what it requires and what it demands. And with obviously, with the mix of yours and directors, vision towards that narrative. So I guess, yeah, so nowadays we have such a vast variety of lenses, especially still in India they are not as much, but I think we've got a decent collection and decent choice to make. How sharp you want your image to be, how softer. So you like, the mix and match with the lenses. Suppose there was a film I shot, Charles. The first time I used Cook lenses, and Epic, Red Epic, we used, which was like a camera which was on a sharper side. So I wanted to kill the sharpness. So we chose Cook S5, which are little softer lenses. So like, the blend of a sharper camera with softer lenses I really, really loved. And I think the imagery which turned out to be also was quite great. So that was one thing. And also many times, sometimes for me, it becomes like something for like Sonchirya. I couldn't have shot with a camera like Mini probably I could have used, but like, because there's so much handled involved in the camera, so you need to be comfortable, you need to maneuver your camera so many times that the maneuverability of the camera needs to be very quick and very fast. So all those things are there, plus what you're gonna do with the post-production. Plus I think nowadays the technology has come to a point where you can do so much on post. It's about your personal choices. There's so many films which we see and like, this has been shot on these lenses and these cameras, and even trained eye, many DPs gets it wrong. So it's all about your personal choices, what kind of color language you like, what are you planning to do with it on post, and what camera are you comfortable with. So I've shot on a lot on red. I know many people hate red, they literally hate red. It's like they're anti-red, but I still love red. I think it's because probably due course of time I've also learned how to handle it. Many people have kept it away from themselves, never tried it so much, so that they can know how to tackle it. Whereas Alexa is like, it's nice, it's clean, it's got the best latitude, and it's just the correct. It's one of those students, in school who would excel in sports also and who will be great in studies also. But Red is someone who's like this kid who's a little obnoxious, but if you know how to tackle that guy, he'll really be asset to you. So,
yeah. Somebody asked, when did you graduate from FTI?
2008. There are difference, Red gives you an opportunity to tweak a lot on set, whereas Alexa might not have that many options. You can always have a look up. The Bala's home house was a set, and that was for me also. That was first time I was shooting on a big set, the whole thing where we are creating exterior sun ambience plus sunlight with chroma and everything. And Amar and me, I think we both were not in the favor of this decision to make the set. What happened, we went to Lucknow, we went to Kanpur, we scouted some 150 houses. We selected a house, but on technical recce, when we had gotten there and we started playing out the scenes, we realized that house is not working for us. The kind of short division we wanted to, there were so many characters, the house was looking too claustrophobic to us. And that's where who's production designer, excellent production designer, he came up with the idea, why not go with the set. So I was first a little apprehensive, and even Amar was very apprehensive. Let's not go on set. It does not look real. It looks like a set and everything. And so then we started we came to a point. Okay, fine, we'll make a set, but let's see how to make this a real set. So for me, a lot of things. What happens is the moment you go to set, everything becomes very correct. Yeah. I generally have a problem with everything being correct. I like that imperfection, things being not so correct, there. So what I had a discussion with Mayur, and when the plan was made, so we had kept many things totally haywire. We have kept windows not so correct for face light. We have made the direction, the sun path which we had chosen for the house was completely wrong, which I would have never ever gone for on a real location. But I thought, so let's start putting imperfections and like not so correct things in the set, so it looks real. So then, we had these pillars. So ideally, I would want to have a pillar so that I can have very symmetrical composition and everything. But I said, okay, let's do one thing. Let's put a pillar little off center so that we never get that perfect composition. I know it might not look visually very good, but it will look correct. And I think that's what something which I really believe in a film. Like, it's not important for it to look beautiful. For me, it's more important for it to look correct. That house should belong to Bala. It should not belong to any other film. So all those things are, yes, and the way you light, the way you build your things, the way you achieve what you achieve is totally different in a set vis-a-vis in a real location, for sure.
Yeah, and there was one more question by Vivek Menon. Like, he was asking, is it really necessary to hire a lot of lighting equipment to illuminate a scene? Like, is that lighting and all equipment required?
Not really. Not really.
In Sonchirya, when you were shooting outside, in Sonchirya, did you need all those lights? Because most of the scenes are in sunlight and everything.
See, the only thing is, I'll give you an example. In the pre-climax sequence, we shot that sequence for 9 days.
Wow.
And from morning till evening. And which has a screen time of, I think, around 18 minutes or something like that, 16 to 18 minutes. So when you're shooting, you are against daylight. There are times that has gone, or there's a color, and you are not at a luxurious project where you can say, okay, let's stop shooting, and when the sun will come, we'll shoot again. And we didn't have that luxury. We were going against budgets and everything. We had rains for 3 days, so we already lost some 3 days earlier. So we had to shoot. So that time you do require a technical help to help you out, to even the light, to maintain the contrast levels at that point of time. But yes, I don't agree that you need to have big lighting setups to produce a good image. But yes, sometimes when it comes to when the matter arrives of continuity of contrast ratios and everything, which you want to maintain, then yes, you require something. But things can be achieved. You can work smartly to achieve things in a small setup also, for sure.
Yeah, I think in the exterior scenes, you don't have to use light, but still you have to maintain the sun's position for the continuity and everything, right? So that's another issue.
I think again depends what kind of visual design, what kind of shot breakdown we have done. There's so many times we wanted to do like a single shot. There's one around, I think, 2.5 or 3 minute single take, single shot in Sonchirya. And that was very tricky to be done, and then we thought that we'll do it handheld. We tried it a couple number of times while we were doing the recce. We wanted to block the shot and everything, and and it was not working, because there was a tape, so you had to go down. It was taking too much, and it was just not looking correct. So that's why I decided, okay, let's do it on a steady cam. So I think it depends, the only thing I'm against is you don't decide a shot after knowing that you have an equipment like this. I think you should have a shot first in your head, and then if you need a equipment for that, then go for it. So if you sometimes you want to go for a long takes and everything, if you want to go on the same shot, you want to go much higher, so then you definitely need a jib. So it all depends. The kind of design of the film is Shahid wouldn't have any those kind of movements. Omerta doesn't have those kind of movements. Sonchirya doesn't have any jib movement. So it's majorly kind of visual design. It all depends on the visual design of the film.
Yeah, especially in Omerta, what I loved, I saw that movie in the theater, and that while shooting handheld, that small shakes you have, not too many shakes, there is this slight shake which increases the tension of the scene. In Sonchirya as well, I thought a particular scene is in Steadicam, and then I noticed the shake, and then I realized that it is handheld. So how do you achieve that level of, how do you achieve handheld? How do you nail it in that way? How do you avoid those major shakes and have those minimal shakes?
honestly, I don't know how much it's true, but I do feel like working in a lot of news have helped me a lot, because
Okay.
there we are running with cameras right, left, and center, and all day. I still remember I covering when I was in NDTV. I was covering this Upahar cinema case, which was against Ansals. When border bomb blast had happened, and there was less exit gates and
Yeah.
everything. I remember the camera was on my hand and I couldn't get it down because of some situation. For like around 3.5 hours, my shoulder almost like got numb. There were 2-3 people to help me out, but it was just mad. It was just mad, and my camera was the only camera to get Manu Sharma's bite, who was the lawyer, who
Okay.
had come out, and it was just. I mean, like I felt good, but I was like physically just exhausted for like at least a week. My shoulders just didn't get okay, and so I really feel like working a lot on news helped me a lot, getting that steadiness in camera. Though the way you operate these cameras are completely different, but still, like you get that idea of how much camera is moving, because many times initially many DPs I feel that they don't realize the camera is shaking or not. But
Yeah.
because when you're operating, you don't feel it shaping. But when you see it on monitor, then you realize, oh damn, it's like shaking a lot. But I think it's just practice and nothing too much, to be very honest. And you need to figure out your own way to do it. There is no textbook way to do handheld. It's just you need to figure out your own way. Like I mean, some people feel the shoulder should be strong. I feel the core should be strong. So it's everyone has their own way to do it. So it's a personal journey to get correct, I guess.
Yeah. One major thing I wanted to ask you, like I think this is the most important thing I want to ask you, is like I've seen almost all cinematographers. I follow a lot of cinematographers. I've seen that they develop a particular style of lighting or framing a scene. So if you see their different movies, you can realize that this person has shot this movie. But with you, you've shot so many movies, and I haven't seen any relation in any film. Like a film like Omerta and a film like Sonchirya or a film like Made in China. They all look so different. So how do you do that? Like, how do you not pick up a style and stick to it? How do you just create a different style for each movie? I mean, it's very similar to what Roger Deakins does. Like, all of his movies are so like in such different and such a variety. Like, you cannot notice. So, how do you do that? How do you not create a style?
I honestly don't know. I feel I do have a style, but that probably only I can make out. Ki this is my frame. Because there's so many times, like when I've been shooting a feature, and
Yeah.
probably I couldn't be there for a day, and I'll send a friend, can you just go and shoot today? Or probably there was some patchwork and I'd moved on to some other projects, and I told a friend of mine, and suddenly till date I see that shot and I know, yeah, I can shoot this. This is not my frame for sure. And then after some time I'll realize, oh damn, yeah, this is not this. I can shoot this. So in my head there is a style for sure, but but I think that's because I never gave any importance to myself above the script. I always felt the script is the supreme, has the supreme authority to decide a visual language. Script is way above me and the director and any other human being working on that film for that film. And since every script is different, it's every it's different, and I like doing different things. Like there's sometimes when I want to shoot something which might not be not that great, but I really want to satisfy myself by not repeating my work. And I think I've also been lucky to get different kind of projects because after Shahid, I remember I was getting calls only about films which are 5D films. कि सर ये 5D फिल्म है, 20 दिन में शूट करना है, हैंडल्ड है, ये करते हैं. So there was like and I thank God I avoided all those projects, because otherwise I would have also this question you wouldn't be asking me today, that your films look different. The question would be, all your films look the same. Why? So then I got Charles, which I was very lucky to which was like a totally different kind of a challenge to achieve. Which was way more stylized, way more a little more noirish in its own way. So I think yeah, but we were lucky to get Sonchirya, Omerta, Shahid, all those things. But yeah, that's a challenge I take upon myself also. Especially, I had a lot of fights in the first AC. Rajan, we are like this husband and wife on set. We fight a lot. We fight a lot. But whatever credit you are giving me, honestly, a big chunk goes to him as well, because he what he brings to table is a lot more than like any other first AC would bring. I think. So there were so many times I would tell him कि Rajan, let's do something different, and then he would say कि क्या different करना है, मतलब वही है, वही चार चीजें हैं, वही करनी है, पांचवी कर लेंगे. But then we'll sit and we'll talk about things. We'll realize okay, this is what we've already done. Let's approach this a little differently. And recently what I've developed is suppose if anything comes in my head, if any director tells me okay, this is the shot I want, so there is immediately certain thoughts come in your head. So I started to removing those shots immediately, those thoughts immediately. So the first thought which comes in my head, I've started not implementing those shots. So I thought okay, this is the first thing which have come to your mind. Now let's leave it aside. Now think how it can be done in some other way. So I think these are different practices which you need to do with your own mind to do things differently, so that you don't fall under the same umbrella again and again. And I think it's important to do different things. Otherwise, how the interview started, I said that I didn't want it to do anything monotonous. I'll to that monotony, and which I hate in my life. So I think that's probably a characteristics of my nature which brings that out. I really want to do hi Mitesh, first of all. He's a very dear friend, and yeah. So and the frame I was telling you about, when I said I didn't shoot this frame, that was by him only. He had to go to shoot, I think a day or 2 days in Shahid. He'd gone there and shot, and till date I still remember there's this one scene where he's marking his job, and there's one scene he's eating parleji and walking on the bridge, and suddenly I see that and I see that this is not me, and I don't know why is this little low angle hugging her mother, and then I suddenly realize, oh shit, I didn't shoot this. This was Mitesh. So yeah. So how I choose to do a certain project, that's a tricky one. I'm still trying to figure the answer to that question. But I think honestly, when I meet, I'm a very people's person. I love to work with people who I enjoy. I might have an opportunity to work on a better script, but not so great people. I don't want to be a part of it at all. I think journey is the most important thing in your life at the end. I'm not gonna remember the films per se I've done, but I'll definitely remember the moments I lived while creating that film. So that's a very important thing for me, and definitely the kind of people they are is one of the biggest deciding factor for me. And definitely the script. Sometimes the script is not that great, but the vision director has, it's so amazing. So you need to have a belief in your director, and okay, there's something you can do about it. Many times it had happened that I didn't find anything exciting in the narrative, but I felt okay, there is something I can put on table and and deliver something for my own happiness. So I've gone forward and done that. So I think it's a very intuitive decision you make, and even if it can be wrong, I'm not saying it can be right. All decisions have not been right. It can be wrong, but that's fun. That's the fun of it. You make a wrong decision and you make sure that doesn't repeat in your life. So that's the learning which filmmaking also give you. Honestly, I think grading Sonchirya was the biggest challenge for me, because we were there while we started grading the film, because I told you it's a day exterior film, and we were shooting sequences over a week, 10 days, which on screen were hardly 15 minutes, 16 minutes. There was so much action. So there was so much light, continuity jump was there, and everything was there. So to manage that was already a challenge. which I was not so worried about. But to get a texture was actually a bit of pain. So Ashirwad, who I generally color my films with, is a great technician. So for the first time in my life, I never used any technical language in a DI suit. We were only talking about, how, what are these characters like, they probably didn't get how their faces should look. They don't get food to eat probably for a week, and then suddenly they'll eat a lot of food. They don't get that much water to drink. So the struggle should be seen on their faces. Like, generally you would talk like, okay, this is, let's pump the mid tones, let's crush the highlights, let's crush the blacks, let's fix the black. But for the first time in Sonchirya, we never talked technique. The only thing we were talking about general, about their life, about that area, how one thing that area is, and then obviously, like, there was this one color in my head which I never knew how to explain. I never got a reference of it. I never could name that color. So I always used to, like, trouble him a lot with that color, like, which is the mud color which we got, which is lifeless. I just kept it calling lifeless mud, lifeless mud, lifeless mud.
Okay.
कि इस मिट्टी में जान नहीं है, like, So there was all those things which, like, we kept on talking about. There's another reference. I always wanted to look like a desert. There's a lizard color which is there. Which is not brown, which is not yellow. It's I don't know, some favorite color what it is. So, like, we actually gone through a lot of challenges while grading it, because for the first time it was happening, we would grade one frame and it will not match the other. So it took a lot of effort to balance the whole film. For the nights were perfectly fine, but days gave us a really hard time. But I think we managed. It was actually a very beautiful experience, and the whole journey was quite nice to grade Sonchirya, because it was just lovely. And I was very afraid to show Abhishek the first cut. And he kept on telling me कि अनुज कभी आऊँ मैं देखने, कभी आऊँ. मैंने कहा मैं आपको बोलता हूँ. I've still not got it. And when things became little closer, and he said कि अनुज I hope कि अभी तक कुछ मिल गया. मैंने कहा just give me 3 more days. I'm changing everything. So he said okay. So then he came and he really loved it, and that's all the time I was like, okay, like, we're doing something correct, we're on the correct path. And yeah, I mean, like, a DP's job on a grading suit is a lot. It's a make or break. It can ruin everything. It can degrade the image as well, or it can just lift it up to another level. And exactly there also, like, you are thinking of the same thing. Does these saturation levels belong to the film? Does these there's certain if costume designer has given a certain kind of costumes to a character, he has things in his that he has not gotten too colorful or whatever. So it's your I think responsibility to maintain that saturation level, because there are many other departments. The production design is depending on your grading, that you don't mess it up. So there are so many things, there are so many different professionals actually banking on you, so that you don't mess up their frame. Because my frame is not just my frame. There are actors there. There's production design, there's art direction, there's costumes, there's makeup, there's so many things. So it's a big responsibility on a DP's shoulder to not mess up their professionals, and I think it's and you feel happy when you do it correctly. And so I was watching Sonchirya, and I was seeing, like, you in the close-up scenes, the whole background is visible, like the whole scene and the setting. How do you do that with close-up shots? So I think it's also to do the way you lens it. Close-ups can be done in any lens available in this world, from 8mm to 350 mm. So it's just that which lens do you prefer and what aperture do you shoot. So since we had this whole concept, the film should be Western, and Western has this thing. And since then we are there, so we were shooting somewhere around 8.5. I have shot many scenes at 22 also. For that, to give you a deep focus effect. And I think for Sonchirya it worked a lot, because we are so habitual like making shallow, and like that was a Hollywood thing we had picked up some time back, which is like late 90s, when Hollywood was just shooting everything shallow, and for us it looked international, and we had picked it up and we have not gotten out of it. So I think it's our duty to start making the image a little better, and get out of that whole rut of like shooting telly and shallow focus, so that it looks beautiful, which also many people does in 5D. That's why actually 5D got famous, because it was looking cinematic just because of the shallow depth of focus. So all those things are there, but yeah, shooting on a higher apertures, and again, like if script demands it, go for it. If script demands shallow, go for it. Whatever you feel correct. And for Sonchirya, we felt that defocus should be a great idea, and I think it went quite well for us. There are a couple of cinematographers which I really look up to. Roger Deakins is one of them for sure. It's not usual suspect, but can't miss him. Love is True Grit, Love, Assassination of Jesse James. One of the films which I really loved was No Country for Old Men. Loved Blade Runner, loved Skyfall, loved Sicario is one of my favorite by him. 1917, another masterpiece. And I think the one thing which I really abide and I picked from him is the script and the narrative being the supreme thing, and like don't put yourself ahead of a script is something which I really get from him, and I understand and connect to that theory. And I think style wise, which I really love, is Christopher Doyle. Really respect that guy. And Chungking Express is one of my all-time favorite films. I'm a big fan of Wonka Wai as well, and I think that's one of the best combination I could see on screen. It's a visual and narrative treat. In the Mood for Love, quite something. 2046 is quite something. So yeah, that and if you go a little earlier, Gordon Willis was something called Prince of Darkness. Shot so many brilliant stuff. Started Top Lighting, and Godfather was something which was amazing. Rodrigo Prieto was there. So there are lots of them, but yeah, Deakins and Christopher Doyle is something which I really enjoy and can watch them endlessly and learn from them.